All right. Like I had mentioned, the first part of this, we're just going to talk about kind of continues from sections 5 SQL, where we're going to talk about joins. That's something that I hadn't particularly talked about last time. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of did talk about it since a lot of people had those questions. All right. Just quick thumbs up, thumbs down, like maybe sideways. How are you feeling with SQL, maybe particular joins? Good. I see some sideways. Okay, cool. So yeah, I see a couple of thumbs up, which is awesome. But yeah, there's quite a lot of, joins in particular, like to be honest, like when I first did joins, and I should say like it took me a long time to really understand what joins meant. I actually don't like the classic Venn diagram description of it. I think I shared in the Slack channel with Nicole a resource. I'll put that also in the Git page probably, but there's a resource that I really liked for a visual of what it is. It's mostly a table, but the main thing you have to know about for joins is that no matter if it's a left join, right join, inner join, it's basically just taking a table, table A and table B, and you're just putting those together for the columns. And then it doesn't matter what kind of join it is, it's just putting those columns together. And then at that point, after you put those columns together, you then want to figure out what's the data in there. And that's what the inner join versus the left join, for example, that will determine what gets filled into your actual table. Okay. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay. I have so many windows open. All right, I think this is it. I just imported this guy right here, classic stuff. I have this function that I mentioned that we had for section 5, right? And then I have this section right here, or sorry, this function that I kind of created just so we can create a data frame more easily using this function. So again, not anything particular we need to understand to know what's going on for SQL, but just makes it a little more helpful for us to do the data, okay? And so we're using this, this database, data.sqlite, which I think is probably from that lesson that you just came over. I could be wrong. Nope, it's not that same one, but it's in the curriculum, one of the lessons in there. So just know that's where it's coming from. And so there's two main tables that we're gonna look at is the order details and the products table, okay? And so I'm just running a quick SQL query on here. So I'm just getting everything, select star. Note that, remember, like I said, SQL doesn't really care about white space. So I'll order it like this, and I like it this way because it's easy to show, like, oh, I'm selecting something from this thing. So you can kind of see that kind of structure. And so I'll make a data table, or sorry, data frame. You can see my data frame right here, okay? And you can see we have an order number, we have a product code, quantity ordered, price each, order line. That's all the columns that are in this data frame, or this table, which we important data frame. And of course, if we actually look at the full describe, we can see that there are 2,996 items. Okay, so that means that's how many rows they have in there, right? And you can see there's 326 specific unique items. And if we look at the data, like the schema, for example, we'll see that, oh, order number is actually what's it called? Like the primary on here, basically saying like, oh, like this is the order itself. And then the product code itself is actually a foreign key. It references another table. In this case, it references the products table. So kind of highlighting like why we're going to end up doing a join. So that gives us our order details table. And then we want our products table right here. So I'm just going to look at what this looks like. So I go ahead and import that. I'm going to go see the head. Basically, I put it into data frame. And we can see that this has many more columns. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. Okay. And you see product code right here. And you get the product name and so on. Okay. And if we look at the describe, we can actually see that there's only 110 items in this case, which kind of makes sense. There's 110 unique items, which makes sense. Like, oh, that means that for each product code, there's one line. That's essentially what it's trying to tell you, right? So this is our primary key off here. Okay, follow me so far? Cool. All right. So those are my two tables. But now, for example, you'll notice back if I looked at our order details, is that, hey, there's an order number and there's a product code. So you can kind of get an idea. It's like, oh, what probably is this one big order. This, everything that has 100, what's that? 10100, okay? This is all the same order, these 4 lines, and these are the different products that were purchased, okay, for each of those one order, okay? So you can kind of see like, okay, that's what's going on here. And we want to say like, well, okay, we have a product code here, but maybe we actually want to know, well, what product is that actually? So this is where we can do a join. So basically, We have our products, we have our order numbers, and we can combine them together so we can see all the products for that order. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do on this join now. So our very first join is something called an inner join. And you'll notice that in SQL, you can just, by default, you can just put inner join, or you can just put join instead of inner join. If I put inner, that would have been the same thing. But by default, I can just type join, and that's an inner join. Okay, and so I'll talk about this code for a second, but you can kind of see I have a select statement here. I'm selecting everything. Okay, so whatever I produce, I'm going to get all of it. I want everything from it. And then I'm getting it from, that's basically what tables I'm getting it from. So I'm getting it from the order details table. Okay, cool. And then I'm also going to do a join, in this case an inner join on products. And when we do a join, basically all you can think of it is that we're getting all the columns. So remember, we're getting all the columns from order details and all the columns from products, and we're stitching them together. Okay, so we'll see a bunch of columns for order details and a bunch of columns for products. And now what we say when we do that join, with an inner join, left join, we're saying, all right, let me get that specific data in there. And the way we know is like, well, okay, what belongs with what? We basically have this guy right here. Order details.product code equals products.product code. Basically, we're using this column right here with the order details. I'm sorry, for the wrong one, but like the product details, the product code right here. So all info from the product code, we're going to basically stitch these parts to my order details, which are right here, to this part. So this way we should see order number, product code, quantity, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll have this whole column, or all these columns, stitched to the end of this. And then, for example, if I get product code, let's say this is just product code S10-1678, you'll see all the information for that specific product. Okay. So when we do this right here, we run it through, and you'll notice right here, don't worry about this funkiness right here. This is just so it's easier for us to read it later on. But if you really want to know, I'm just renaming the columns because product code on our product side and our product code for the order details table, since they're the same name, we'll get some conflict when we try to do stuff with Pandas. So I'm just kind of preemptively renaming them so that way it's easier for us to read. Okay, you can look at that a little bit later if you want some more detail. But we're not going to worry about that right now because that's not the point of our joins. So now I actually have joined it right here. I renamed the columns, which is just a little extra thing. And now I'm doing this data frame that we saved, the results, and showing the head. So you can see everything with the O dot is orders, and everything with the P dot is a product. So you can see order number, product code, so-and-so, and then we take product code again. And you can see right here is that these should match up. And you can see that is exactly what happens here. Okay, so all essentially I did right here, if you were to kind of like cover up the P dot columns, if you cover that up, it would be literally just the order, what's called the order numbers, or the order details code. And we can see that it's not described. We can see, oh yeah, it matches up. There's 2,996 items. There's 326 unique items, which we look back all the way back to order details, you can see, oh, cool, we have the same number here, okay? Which makes sense. It's just basically all the orders, but we just added some extra information at the end, okay? And that's what we're with an inner join, all right? Any questions on what this did right here? Yeah, go ahead, Igor.
What if I use, after products, just type join products using product code?
Oh yeah, you could do that too. So in the curriculum, I think it shows like, you know, using, and then it's like product code, right? Like that. If it's the same name, it's perfectly fine. Sometimes on a table, you want to join like a primary key with a foreign key. They'll be named different stuff. In that case, you have to use that equals part. I tend to use this way, the more robust, like longer way, just because it makes it really clear for me saying, oh, it's order details and product code. Okay, but just know that you don't necessarily have to do that. Okay, if they're the same name. Cool, good question. All right, so cool. So you can see right here, every time we do a join, it's just gonna be the column and then the other columns from the other table. And you'll notice that the one that we did first was order details, and then we do a join on products, okay? That's the first one that comes up, orders and then products. So again, that was an inner join. Just a kind of quick thing is that inner joins and left joins are going to be your most common joins you're going to do. There are things like outer joins, left outer joins, and stuff like this. We tend not to use that too much, mostly because it's like, well, it's the same thing. We just have different conditions on it. So just know the most common ones you'll use is inner and left. And if the most common join that you'll ever see is just a left join. Okay. And which I think Thomas brought this up on our 101, that I think you said that Pandas was by default does a left join. I could be wrong on that, but yeah. So just know that left joins are the most common. And one thing is there are things like right joins. To be honest, you probably never have to use a right join, because if it's a right join, you just swap the two over and now it's a left join. So that's why we don't tend to use right join. Okay, cool. So I'm going to show you real quickly what a left join looks like. So you can see it's basically the same exact structure, except the only difference here now is that I put a left join. I did add a little alias here as P, as O, just so it's a little easier to read. Note that doesn't really change how SQL does the job. Really, I could have taken this off right here and kept the exact same code and just added left. But now we're doing a left join, okay? So I run this here. Again, just renaming the tables are the columns so they're easier for us to read, okay, and actually work with the data with Pandas. And now I'll show you the head. And so you can see is that I have right here the products. And you can see there's products that are first, okay? All the products right here. And then if I scroll off to the side, you can see then there's all the orders, the O dots, right? So you can see basically it just stitched those two together, right? Every join is just going to do the same exact thing. It's going to stitch the columns together, okay? But now it matters, like, okay, what's in this table? Like, what are we actually finding? And this is where left join basically says, all right, you are going to consider everything that's on the left table. In this case, it's the product table. The very first table, you're going to consider all of those parts. And then you're going to join the details on, or join the other table to that other one. And that's the info that's going to show up. So I'll show you what this looks like when I do the dot describe. So you can see here is what happened is that we have actually more than what we had before. You can see there's 2,997. There's one more than usual. And you can see there's 110 unique values. And that's because it's connecting it to the 110 unique values for a product. And so you're like, wait, what is this 297? And it turns out it's just because there was one missing from the orders. Basically, one of the products was never ordered, which the curriculum kind of talks about. But basically what it comes down to is that if I can go ahead and scroll through here, you can actually find, and again, I'm not going to go into full detail, but basically I'm finding which things, and this is in the curriculum too, I'm finding in this table, there is a place where there were no orders for this thing. Because remember, we hooked it up, right? So we got everything that's on the products, and then we connected it with the orders. And because one of the products was never ever ordered from anywhere, you'll see that it basically has null values, none values over here, basically for this order. So it kept everything that is on a product. It kept the left side constant and made sure we had all the info on that table, and then just added extra info, you know, if the order details table had info on this product. And if it didn't, it just said, okay, there's nothing. And it turns out there was one instance where that happened. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so just know like the inner join is like you basically only get the ones like you will only get results for where there are results for the product, left table, and the order details. That's an inner join. You only get those parts. So if there's a missing product, you'll get one less. If you do a left join, it'll make sure to have the whole table on the left side, which was our products in this case, and then we'll add in details if they exist onto our new big table. Okay, and that's why we have these none values over here. All right, cool. Any questions on that? All right, thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways. Okay, cool. Hopefully that's good. And again, I can kind of show you this a little bit. You can say, hey, like for the product table, this is actually our old one right here, our old join. You can say, hey, were there any products that had this one? And you can see there were nothing. Basically, none of them existed, which is why it makes sense why when we did a dot describe, we had one extra one than the one that we had before we did a regular join, because we did an inner join. We only counted the ones that have both results for the left table in the right table. Left join, it just default says, give me everything else on the left table. And then if it exists on the right table, add it in. Okay, cool. And then on the bottom here, I do have aggregations, but it's not my main thing I'm going to talk about. So I guess, I'll have it here, but just know that I can do an aggregation either with Pandas. So for example, I can basically group it by this product number. And just know I did this kind of funky stuff right here. Did a group by, did a count, sort values. I could have done the same exact thing with my SQL query. And you can see it gives me the same exact results. In this case, 109. Okay. So again, not something I was going to do focus on, but I just wanted to show you guys that existed. Okay, cool. So sounds good. Any questions on anything I showed on this part? All right.